Hello everyone and welcome to the PIPCAST 3000, a bi-weekly podcast with Caedo Genesis.
Hello.
And myself, BADCompanySarge, where we discuss the latest gaming news, Bethesda game, it's Starfield at the moment, it was Fallout before, but Starfield these days, and we just kind of jabber on a bit. Yeah! Podcast.
Yeah! Thank you for the intro, Sarge. It's a rare occasion where I ask you to do it.
Yeah.
And it's great every single time.
Yeah, Caedo asked me because I was flawlessly saying everything before we started recording.
Yes,
It was
yes.
brilliant.
Sarge
Definitely wasn't going,
speaks
"Ugh."
perfectly 110% of the time.
Yep.
Yep.
Same voice, same number of words said in the same tempo, all perfectly the same.
Yep. To add on to the intro, this podcast happens every other Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, unless something happens.
Things do happen.
Things do happen, especially in life, and it sucks. Sometimes, most of the time.
Stupid life.
I just want to play and talk about video games, really, but sometimes I just can't do that, and that does suck once in a while.
Yep.
I'm sure those of you listening can relate, and I'm also rambling quite a bit. So I want to thank, first and foremost, my patrons, the ones supporting the channel and allowing me to do this kind of thing, hang out with Sarge and talk about video games, including Wasteland Legends, Sven, and Rose. We do that at the beginning because I forget at the end all the time. So, without further ado, let's get into the comment of the cast, then the news, then the topic, which is probably going to be the Barren Planet... the Barren Planet's problem. Oh my goodness, of Starfield. That is our topic, but we're going to get to that in a little while. Sarge, would you please read out the comment of the cast from last episode?
I can do. No Brows said, sick-ass new Game Plus idea. I have a pool of player-made outpost ships and NPCs, which are other players' characters, you can come across in different New Game Plus cycles. And you responded.
I did. Oh, should I
I'm not doing your voice. I can't actually do impressions of people. I can just make my voice weird. I don't know how to sound like others.
I responded, heh, that just sounds like Spore. It is a great system, though.
Yeah.
So what they're describing is a step further in the procedural direction where it draws from other players' creations and puts those into the worlds that you're exploring. And I think that is a pretty fun idea when implemented correctly. But I don't see Bethesda doing that, unfortunately. That's more of like a fantasy thing, I think. I wish they would consider something like that, but we haven't really experienced that level since Spore. I don't, like, you can say, yeah, No Man's Sky is procedural, but I don't think it has that player creation generation system itself either. Spore was also wild. Like, it would make PNGs of all of your creations, like PNGs as a image format. I still don't know how they did it, but you could bring up Spore in one window and then have your library of PNGs that the game would generate, and you could just drag a PNG over to the creator and it would drop it into Spore. I have no idea how this works. So you could go to the Sporepedia, find somebody else's creation and just do it manually that way, because like their servers don't really work anymore much. It's an old game. But that is so wild to me that was something that got implemented ages ago in a game like that. It's just unfortunate that the procedural nature, like as you got to Space Stage, got kind of boring over time because there was less and less kind of creations that you were running into. Creature Stage was the bomb. That was where you ran into most of the weirdness and the fun. But a lot of the gameplay was almost exactly the same too, so it would get repetitive after a while. But man, I would love to see another game do something like that. If anybody listening that has something that came to mind that has that level of like player created content that can be just, discovered, say something, because I'm not aware of anything that does it at that level. But it would be really cool if Starfield implemented that in our perfect world versions of that game. How about some news stuff? Also, thank you, No Brows, for the comment. I think this is the first comment we've ever grabbed from you. So thanks. first thing, happy Thanksgiving for those who celebrated and feasted and all that stuff. I had pasta salad with bacon bits, and that's about it.
Ooh, fancy.
It was pretty bomb though. But after Thanksgiving, of course, and even before, in some cases, they don't even wait anymore. Black Friday, Friday, Cyber Monday. It's that weekend.
I've been getting advertising Black Friday week, which is great.
Yeah, it's really funny because like one of the other news topics is directly related to that too. So I'm just gonna move that really quick. So yeah, if you are looking for particular gear and goodies, either for yourself or your loved ones or your friends, I think now is probably a good time to start looking around, shopping around, so you can save yourself some cash and potentially get some new toys for yourself or your friends for, I don't know, their gaming habits or whichever entertainment things that they do. I went of course, because I can't stop myself, I think it's something I do every Black Friday weekend is I get an external hard drive.
Okay.
Or external storage something, because like I can never have enough of them. Because I have backups of like all the VODs except for maybe the PIPCAST, because, you know, don't really need two-ish hour video storage for every episode. Yeah, anyway, just a reminder that you can get some stuff on the cheap or cheaper over the weekend and maybe Cyber Monday.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say that I have backups of nothing. None of my stuff's backed up.
Wait, why?
I live the chaotic life. I put it out there, it's deleted on my side. You have to watch it now or else it'll go away. That's how it works.
So you don't back up any renders?
No.
Wow.
I mean, they stay on there, and then I upload them, and then I'm like, cool, that's uploaded, and then I delete it the next time I do a clean through.
My god, Sarge. I couldn't do that.
I've made, like, over 1,000 videos.
Yeah, me too.
I could not keep over 1,000 of my own videos saved.
Yeah, I have. I mean, I'm going to have a third now, obviously, but I have a second, like hard disk drive. It's a larger one, but that one stores all of my, I think, Let's Play and guide stuff.
Oh, if you want to feel sad, you should probably know that not only do I not have backups, but I deleted the earliest videos on my channel, so they can no longer be found.
Oh no!
There's only like maybe
you can't react to your first videos, Sarge, because they're gone.
And one of them was like the adventures of the flying anime bullet spewing woman or something weird like that. And someone mentioned it like in a comment a couple of years back or something, I want to say. And that's how I know people are like day ones. If they can reference the old content which doesn't exist anymore, that's like, oh yeah, you're an OG.
I have a couple of them that listen to this podcast. Thank you very much, you golden geniuses who have decided to subscribe so early. Also, I don't want to be sad, to answer your question at the very beginning.
No choice. Ask the question.
Doesn't matter. I'll make you sad anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. Something else that makes us sad and is also related to Black Friday. What was something really funny that this was related to Ubisoft. Ubisoft be screwing up, as kind of per the usual. They had a ad pop up in Assassin's Creed. Promoting Assassin's Creed Mirage for a Black Friday deal.
Yep.
And claimed it was a technical error. If something is put as an asset in your game to promote Black Friday on Black Friday or before Black Friday, I find it real hard to believe that's a technical error.
I assume the error is it's supposed to pop up at different times, because the example we've got in our linked thing is someone booting up the map in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and the advert shows up. Whereas
Yeah.
I feel like I've played one of the more recent Assassin's Creed games, and they definitely are like advertising their store and stuff, but it's not directly on the map. You have to go over to the side thing or the main menu or look at the game. You know, it's just inobtrusive stuff like that, where it's just all over the place on every screen, but not directly covering all of it.
It's not unusual that their grubby, marketing crap leaks into their gameplay also, which is, yes, I mean, if you want to be sad, you think about that aspect, because like when I still feel gross about it, even though I got it on discount. I got the Far Cry New Dawn, and they had their stupid like Ubisoft coins that you could collect in game, and this is the worst thing.
Because I've played that game, and it's actually quite fun to like grind out resources, because you go to different places, you go on different like expeditions and stuff. Like, that game does the grind very well, in my opinion. I mean, it's like, or you can just pay money and not play the game. It's like, no, that's
yeah, and like, but finding premium currency, like just laying out like as an item you pick up, like that's too much reality for my video games. I don't want to be reminded that I bought a product. I want to be reminded that I'm playing a game and enjoying a game. This was just another one of those things that, Ubisoft says one thing, but I don't fully believe. Just a fun thing. If you want more reason to make fun of Ubisoft, there you go. The Game Awards. Sarge.
Yes. There have been many Game Awards.
There have been, but not the one that is called the Game Awards yet this year.
Yeah. Well, the one that was lucky enough to get thegameawards.com. Although now I do have to Google gameawards.com just to see what shows up.
You're going to get malware, Sarge.
Oh, it's just related searches and stuff.
Oh.
Okay. That doesn't seem too malicious. But yeah, there's Game Awards 2023 is out. And there's a bunch of stuff you can vote on. I've voted. I did it before the podcast. Yep.
Wow.
And even with like being, okay, I haven't played this game, but I know some good stuff about it, I feel like I can vote for that. I managed to cast 13 votes out of 31 categories.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that was me really stretching it. There's about 3 of them where I actually agree with.
Yeah, I still haven't actually. I don't think I'm going to this year, because I mean, let me if somebody hasn't been paying attention to the Game Awards, and like, I get it.
Yep.
The Game of the Year nominations were Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. 2 of these games are wider audience juggernauts, which is Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3. One of those is going to win. I'm really feel like Baldur's Gate 3 is going to get it.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win.
It's so good.
I mean, not only is it good, it's come out later in the year, is still very relevant, and is still getting like some news coverage here and there. Like, yeah, it's gonna win. Simple as.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, and especially I think this is worth mentioning because of the stuff that we talk about, Starfield is nowhere to be found on the Game of the Year nominations.
It's not on Game of the Year. It's on it was on Best RPG.
It was on Best RPG.
Yep, I think that's the only place it's got a nomination on the Game Awards.
Which is fair. I've seen a lot of players in like the subreddit and stuff like that say, yep, the competition for Game of the Year, there have been so many other games that have pushed the limits of what, I don't know, gaming is.
Yeah.
Especially in the case of Baldur's Gate 3 and ridiculousness of how Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is even able to function on the hardware that it's on.
Yeah. I will say as well, Best RPG is almost certainly going to be won by Baldur's Gate 3 as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Let's be real here.
So I think Starfield is I know you like to use the term solid.
Solid,
like a solid Bethesda game experience, but it's still held back by that Bethesda game thing, I guess, or that Bethesda game assumption that we have when we think of, a game that Bethesda made. While so many others are, leaps and bounds more detailed in many different ways, including narrative, characters, voice acting, performance, action.
A phrase I've heard many times with Bethesda games is as wide as the ocean and as deep as a puddle. And Starfield is the first game where I actually agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in most of their previous titles, I feel like it's been people very much exaggerating and being like, oh, there's some Radiant quests. God, no content here. Whereas Starfield is like, there's so much, and also so little to do at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I mean, our topic is going to go over that, too. Like, that's probably part of the reason why that applies so easily to Starfield and not I think not as much to previous Bethesda games.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. Also,
wait, maybe. Are we moving on? We're not allowed to move on.
No, we're not moving on. We're not moving on. I'm gonna complain. I'm gonna complain about something.
All right, I'll complain after.
You'll probably know what game it has to do with, and what category. As soon as I say it. A category in the Game Awards is Best Ongoing. And often, it's MMOs, or online live service-y type of games that are in this category.
Yes.
Four of them fall into that category. One of them is Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
This award is given to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. Cyberpunk 2077, I feel, should not be awarded for delivering a game 3 years later that is how it was marketed.
Best ongoing is like not a great term for it. Best redemption?
Best redemption?
Hell yeah.
That could be its own category, but it happens rarely enough, and usually something that developers don't strive for, that it wouldn't be a category. And the fact that they got shoehorned into Best Ongoing just because that category doesn't exist and they quote deserve some sort of award, they don't.
No, I think as well with Best Ongoing, all of these other games, Apex Legends, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact, get like regularly updated. There's people working on them and tinkering away at them constantly over time. There's several updates. Cyberpunk has had like a few big updates over the course of a few years.
Yeah,
this is not something which is constantly being tinkered with and improved. It's something which had a bad launch, got a small improvement, and very recently got a big improvement.
Yeah. So 2.0 patch, which is largely why I'm guessing that this got 2.0 patch combined with maybe Phantom Liberty. Phantom Liberty.
Phantom Liberty, indeed.
Phantom blah, 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 blah. But if it were Phantom Liberty standing on its own, which I think that Phantom Liberty got added to one of the categories as well, I think, which made me also question why they were there. But not as much as the Best Ongoing Award, because, again, Cyberpunk came out in a really jacked up state for a lot of people, unplayable for some.
Yeah.
And it took 3 years of bug fixes and updates and things like that to get it into a state that, we were marketed, or...
Still no wall running, right?
Still no wall running.
God damn it.
Unfortunately. I know. I'm sorry. And like Sarge just mentioned, there are still features that were shown during the very beginning of that like hard marketing push for the game that simply did not get added.
Yeah, and it annoys me so much that there's the constantly like, Todd Howard lies to us, Bethesda lies to us, constantly, all the time, and the examples are always like murky things where they've been interpreted one way because the wording was very vague, and it's like, oh yeah, I get where you see that. And then we have games like Cyberpunk where it's like, here's wall running, you can wall run, we're showing off wall running, and then it's like, oh no, we've cancelled it. And there's no like, oh, CD Projekt Red lies to us.
Or we plan to have online multiplayer.
Yep. That's been scrapped.
Yep. Listeners, remember that? Remember when I still bring that up to Nelsar because that's the reason I bought it for myself and for Nelsar.
Yep.
At the very beginning, is that we could potentially play it together. Yeah. There's no universe where Cyberpunk 2077 is playable with another person. And that sucks.
Yeah. If you want to get even angrier about it, best community support. Recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates/patches. Cyberpunk's on that list.
That's right.
It's Cyberpunk, Baldur's Gate 3, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, and No Man's Sky.
Oh, a game that released in a jacked up state without early access and a game that was in early access for over a year.
Yeah.
Interesting that's so broad.
Yeah. The fact that Cyberpunk gets to be best community support and best ongoing, like, I could see it being justified as best community support because of the thing they mentioned about updates and patches, if they want to use that as like, oh, there's a patch which really fixed everything, but it getting both at the same time is, doesn't sit right.
It's funny. It's kind of funny that No Man's Sky is also in the best community support thing, because they're both quote unquote redemption games.
Yeah. I feel like No Man's Sky these days there's a lot more activity and a lot more telling people what's coming and going through that.
Yeah, the major difference, I mean, besides No Man's Sky being much more indie, or being indie, as opposed to Cyberpunk 2077, is all of their added content was free.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty costs money.
Yep.
And
lots of
it
money.
Probably wouldn't have needed to if they didn't spend a whole bunch of money on fixing the game.
I thought you were going to say if they didn't spend a whole bunch of money on Idris Elba.
Idris Elba fixing their game. And also there was probably something else. And the marketing probably cost a ton. This is me just guessing. So I'm going to move on. What's this about?
Before we move on from the Game Awards.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay.
That was the one thing I'd already warned you about this, Caedo.
So I thought you already said the thing. I'm sorry.
No, I was just I was doing a conversation.
Thank you.
But there is at least one more category on here that I think Starfield deserves to be nominated for.
Oh.
Which is Best Audio Design.
True.
Because there are points in the game where it just sounds so good. I've told the story on the PIPCAST before of how there's been several times where I've taken my headset on because I thought the wind was picking up, and I'm like, no, that's in the game, and it is so lifelike and realistic.
Yep.
And yeah, the audio in Starfield is really, really good.
Whoever the sound designers were or are for Starfield, good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But understandably, you have like 3 or 2 atmospheric games that that live or die on audio design. Then you have Hi-Fi Rush, which
that totally makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's all about music.
And then Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, and Resident Evil 4. And like a lot of the ones listed here make sense too.
Didn't Dead Space come out years and years ago?
This is a Dead Space remake.
But they've just called it Dead Space.
Yeah, they did that with Resident Evil 4 as well. With everything.
Oh god, yeah, I don't keep track with the Resident Evil series. I forgot. That's 2 remakes on here.
Yeah. And I know part of the conversation, fun conversation, I hope, has been like whether or not remakes or remasters should be considered even for awards, because what about the case of the same concept and same game in some cases just getting awarded again in a following year.
Yep.
That's a fun conversation to have later too. But was that your main thing?
That was my main thing.
That Starfield was not in audio design?
Yeah. There's also maybe an argument of best action/adventure, because Bethesda games are like action RPGs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe it would go better in that, but yeah, the audio design is the one where I'm like, Starfield not only deserves to be in that, but it has a good chance of winning, and I'm a bit annoyed it's not.
What was this thing about people being silly trying to resell something?
Yeah, so
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 Deluxe Edition. It's you can pre-order it from Larian Studios for $80, and it's going to ship sometime next year. Makes sense, we're at the end of the year. Cool. However, people on eBay are trying to already resell it for like over $500. The thing is, Larian Studios isn't like, hey, there's a limited amount of these, and then we're going to stop selling them. It's just like, no, we're selling them. If you want it, you can just buy it. But the resellers are already trying to just purchase it and then resell it at a future date for so much more when it's not limited edition or anything. And it's nonsense.
I think it mainly just shows, like, you know, greedy people be greedy.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna try anyway, I guess. It just sucks. But I'm glad that Larian is speaking out against it too. And reminding people, hey, you can get it from us. And Larian Studios is I feel like they're attentive enough to notice, like, if one particular buyer is buying up a whole bunch of copies, just be like, no. Or if they have a limit. But maybe it's more complicated than that. I don't know.
Almost certainly. But yeah, this is just like a very dumb kind of scheme that's happening, and hopefully will work out poorly for the resellers, because just buying a bunch of pre-orders of a game that they shouldn't really be able to resell for more.
Right. People, we've had enough of like scalpers overcharging for stuff. I'm sure nobody really wants that to keep happening. No. So yeah, just good little reminder if you want to get the deluxe for Baldur's Gate 3, which I do recommend. Larian has proven themselves pretty readily on their ability to make the types of games that they do great RPG experiences, romanceable characters, and great strategy gameplay. All kind of, and narrative, all kind of wrapped into one gameplay video game.
Yes.
I am sounding so much like a boomer right now. Speaking of, the B-roll on screen might be World of Warcraft. I'll get into it later.
I like how you're explaining that almost half an hour in.
I should have said that at the beginning. I may cut it and like put it towards the beginning, but now I've explained it more, so I might hate how I edit this. But I just want to let people know you're probably just listening to it passively anyway, so I hope you don't mind. And I'll explain to you why in the "What are you doing" section. Also, if you're wondering what the Prey developer, why can't I think of their name? Arcane.
Okay.
What Arcane is doing? Oh my goodness. They're saying that Redfall updates are still coming.
Yes.
In spite of everything giving them the reason not to.
Yeah, so Redfall, despite very much having kind of crashed and burned, like quite a few games we've talked about lately, it's really hard to make a game that comes out and people are happy with these days. It feels like it happens less and less each year now, despite us getting more and more games. But that's a whole other topic. There has been a new update for Redfall recently, which added like a big new weapon, made some AI changes, bug fixes, little stability tweaks, all that kind of stuff. And they're also saying there's going to be new content and a deluxe edition arriving in 2024. However, not many people are playing the game, from what we know. Like, the Steam charts, which I will stress does not actually tell you all the people playing, doesn't tell you people on console, people on other launchers, and especially stuff with, like, Xbox Game Pass, which this is on. It doesn't relate to that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the 24-hour peak at time of recording on Redfall on Steam was 165 players.
Yep.
Which is not many.
For a cooperative hero RPG shooter thing.
Yeah. And to be clear, that is a big turnaround from a couple of months ago, where in September, the peak player count for the entire month was 48 players.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oof.
Redfall is not doing well. Like, Steam charts don't tell everything, and there's clearly a lot more people playing. But we're talking maybe there's 1,000 people who actually play Redfall, would be my guess.
Yeah.
It's not a lot. It's really not a lot.
Yeah.
But the game hasn't been abandoned, which, yeah, I guess they've just got to be... Arcane's got to be hoping that people will come back if they do a big update that turns things around, but that's a lot to bank, because other games that people say are dying or dead on arrival, like we've had Starfield and stuff, and I'll actually just do a quick comparison on the Steam charts. Yeah, the 24-hour peak for Starfield in comparison is 25,782 players on Steam.
Yeah.
So that's...
It's a couple more. It's a couple more than
quite a bit more.
160, whatever.
Yeah. So, like... And think about the fact that Starfield is also being portrayed as kind of like, oh, this game's really not doing well or whatever. It's, yeah, worlds apart here. Redfall...
Oh, yeah.
Just... It is... I don't know whether to feel good or bad about the fact they're determined to keep updating it.
We probably... I feel like... I do feel a bit guilty, because, like, we had all planned, like, me, you, Jared, and Eddie, had initially all planned to play Redfall together, and, like, at launch, the game was just not good in many aspects, including performance. Like, it was not in a good state. But every time it comes up, I'm just like, should we give it a check back again? At least you and me, I think.
Yeah, I probably should reinstall
because
that at some point.
we both have Game Pass. Like, it's not an impossible thing that we can just, we don't have to just go out and buy the game.
No,
so
we've got access to it.
Just fire it up. It's just more of a willpower thing at this point, I think.
Yeah, like, I've only been playing Starfield lately as well.
If we feel like we need a break, I mean, I've already played something else, so from Starfield. But if you think you get to that point, play a little something with something, because we haven't really co-opted anything for a long while either. And I like doing that. I like making highlights of that too, especially if the game's got bugs in it still.
Oh,
that makes for fun capture.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna add install Redfall to my list of things to do.
Nice. You know what?
I'll
start that. I'll start that happening right now. Actually,
I won't start it right now because I don't have bad internet anymore. But I'm used to the days of bad internet where I have to make sure nothing's installing, downloading, updating when I'm on just a voice call.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Once we're done recording, I'll install that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's, on the one hand, it's very good that they're not just abandoning this game and they are trying to stick with it, which is something that, like, Microsoft and all of its companies that it's bought at this point, it seems they're trying to go on that path of, we're not just going to abandon games, which is good for those people who want the games to be good and who do like playing it.
Yeah.
But this one is, like, notably low player count.
This is an uphill struggle, dude. This one's gonna be rough.
I think in the PC Gamer article that I linked, they mentioned that Cyberpunk on Steam never went below 8,000 players. And for Redfall, the all-time peak on Steam for Redfall was like 1,500.
Wow.
So, like, yeah. Obviously, Game Pass is still a thing, which is going to change about quite a bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's so much of an uphill battle.
And the genre too. Like, it's a genre that's completely flooded. Like, they put Redfall out when people have so many other options.
Yeah, we've not got it in the update outlines as well, but I feel like one of those co-op Killing Me Undead games recently like went away or something, or stopped being worked on. I want to say maybe Back for Blood.
Was it Back for Blood or no? Because Dead Island 2 came out late last year, right?
In early 2023, developer Turtle Rock indicated they would no longer provide support for the game in the form of updates or new content. Yeah, so Back for Blood is the one I was thinking of, where they've just been like, we're not
finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was one that got nominated for awards and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're not going to keep going with this anymore.
Well, part of the problem is too, like that one in itself too was trying to follow a legacy of Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
Which you go back to Left 4 Dead 2, like that game is still incredibly fun. Like, and aged very well. And Back 4 Blood was trying to recapture that with, you know, a handful of original developers too. Like, sounds like they didn't really nail it though.
No.
Unfortunately. And here we are hoping for a successor at some point, but we've seen it in things also like Deep Rock Galactic. Like, Deep Rock Galactic is doing insane numbers, and getting frequent updates, and you know, a lot of free, just tons of free content that they're adding to the game as well regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So there are successors that are still doing well, but again, like Deep Rock has one of those unique situations where like everything, almost lightning in a bottle, kind of worked out really well. Could be visual design, could be sense of humor of the game, could be the procedural nature, could be the voxel graphics, like all kinds of stuff. But then you have Redfall, which, you know, was a half arcane environmental storytelling-y immersive sim kind of thing, but also a, you know, co-op shooter that featured vampires, and it can fit into any box.
No. It was a bit of everything. Nothing done super well.
Didn't really have a focus, it seems like, which kind of worked against it a bit. Anyway, I think we've talked about a long time.
We have talked a long time.
We should play it sometime together.
Yeah, we should see how much it's improved.
Something else we've been playing for a long time, Sarge, is Starfield.
Yeah, so much Starfield. I know I'm over 300 hours at this point.
Nice. Yeah, you're catching up with me now.
Yeah, I had someone mention they were being like a kind of critical in a comment they left, and mentioned, but I still love the game, and I'm over 600 hours, and I'm like, Jesus, there are people over 1,000 hours now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah, because I imagine a lot of it's them getting into like the really meticulous building stuff.
Oh yeah,
which can last a long time, because I remember that in Fallout 4, like the settlement building, I spent so many hours just trying to build out the fort.
Yeah, and I mean, Starfield's building is slower, to say the least.
Yeah. It's a lot more clunky, and it has some problems. I really hope I fix it. Anyway, the reason we're talking about Starfield is not just because of our topic, but because of the news section and our update. There was an update, 1.8.86, where we talked about it probably last episode, that it was in beta.
Yeah, it was in beta last episode, but now it's actually out.
Yes. Yeah. And for just a refresher, NVIDIA DLSS support, let them eat, which is the eat food on the fly kind of thing. If you see it laying somewhere, you can just eat it with the reload button.
No.
at least on PC controls. It might be different because they really don't have.
I mean, there'll be a button that
consistent
pops up
controls
for you.
between controller and a keyboard and mouse. A lot of performance and stability improvements, some gameplay improvements, some graphical improvements, and some quest improvements. And also, there was the NPCs not wearing clothes thing.
Yeah, they fixed that.
So I will have some legacy footage on one of my magazine's guides of one of the characters. Like, I think it was the lawyer in the place that starts with a G, Gagarin Landing.
Yeah.
She was just walking down the street with no clothes on.
Oh, dear.
I had to cover it up and do some tracking with some Ellie, please. I think Ellie was her name. It was just so funny. If you have a keen eye, you'll see it, but it goes by pretty quickly. So I just thought that was really funny. This was one of the funnier bugs that Starfield had.
Yeah.
Just NPCs at random not having clothes, not getting dressed that day. That's how far we've come. Yeah. So if you haven't fired up Starfield, apparently a lot of people have, because of my analytics jumping.
Oh yeah. Like I think I checked your channel the other day and I was like, those views have gone up.
Yeah, a little bit.
And yeah, both our most recent videos are over 5,000 views.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, you broke 5K too?
Oh yeah.
Sick.
My most recent video it's been almost 2 days it's out now. Yeah, 5.4K. It has 171 comments.
Wow.
I spent over an hour last night replying to comments.
Dang, dude.
And
that's
doing it
awesome.
fast.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. I talked about Unarmed and what the next big patch needs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, lots of people
Unarmed.
are like, yes.
Unarmed update. It needs that.
Yep.
Please.
The majority of what I say is just like, Unarmed, make workshops better. I guess mods are going to be in there as well.
Please. I think I did watch that video. Yeah, it was a good like kind of roundup of things we've all already talked about at length.
Yeah.
Just shortened down to an easier to watch kind of thing.
Yeah, spoiler alert, my next video is basically going to be our Starfield discussion from the last episode.
Which is fine. It's a good way to I think I talked to Caedo about this earlier. When you just have conversations about things, it gets you more practice in making a more succinct version of that later on. So ultimately, what I'm saying is, even though I really enjoy podcasting with Sarge, I also have the ulterior motive of saying things better next time.
Yeah. It's almost like this time we're not saying things super well.
Yeah, it could be. Yes, I am having a hard time as well, Sarge. Starfield also has a hard time when it comes to planets sometimes.
Yes.
I think it's time we get into our topic, our main topic.
Yep. The barren planets problem.
The barren planets problem. This one I wrote down as an idea like 4 episodes ago.
Yeah. I mean, it did not take long to figure out that, oh wow, a lot of these planets are just rocks.
Yep. Or balls of ice.
Yeah.
Or gas giants. You can't even land. I still think that's so funny. That somebody got angry that you can't land on ice or gas giants.
Yeah. Gas giants and ice giants. No. I'm glad you can't land on them. Because there's already more than enough planets.
Yeah,
I like just going over to one, scanning it, and being like, cool, I am done with that forever now.
I think that falls into the unrealistic thing a bit too much as well.
Yeah.
Like cool, you can fly into anomalies like that one stormy area during the Crimson Fleet questline. I forgot the name of that system, which is really cool. Yeah. But just really hilarious that there was one post that stuck in my mind that somebody was like mad that you couldn't land on a gas giant. I'm like, it's it's gas, so what are you gonna do?
I'm so annoyed that I can't just walk up this air.
Yeah. Or like an ice giant that could just shred the skin off your body as soon as you come out of your ship. It's somewhere that you maybe can land. that's probably going a bazillion miles an hour already. This is so funny. But anyway, talking about the Barren Plans problem, in particular the procedural point of interest system that we've now explored quite a bit, both, you know, me and Sarge, as well as those of you listening who have played Starfield. You may have experienced, or probably have experienced, a lot of repeats of points of interest in the places that you've gone to, especially on the planets or moons that don't have much going on environmentally. Like no atmosphere, no oxygen, rocks with stars in the sky, and rocks, low gravity.
Rocks, and rocks, and rocks.
Rocks.
And rocks.
I have learned that since I started using the Xedit a little bit, I just say Xedit because that's what people are used to calling it, which is the data mining kind of or modding, unofficial modding tool until we get the creation kit, that the planets and moons and worlds and stuff like that do have like conditionals for specific points of interest showing up. And obviously I've learned, trying to piece this sentence together one word at a time, that these conditions are more easily met in places that have, you know, actual life on them, as opposed to the barren, dead dirt dust balls. So if you are trying to find points of interest on, you know, a no atmosphere moon somewhere, you're not going to find much variety.
No.
As opposed to I think Todd Howard called them Goldilocks planets, the ones that have flora, fauna, and other things on them. You'll find more points of interest naturally that on something like that.
Yeah. If you're going to do any exploring, don't bother with like little moons and stuff.
Yeah.
Go for the planets which have plenty of animals and plants and are a multitude of colours from space. I've spent most of my time on the boring generic moons, and I'm so sick and tired of the cryo research lab.
Oh, just don't go in. Just don't go in, Sarge.
I don't go in anymore. Don't bother.
It's not even worth it. Just shoot the dudes outside and move on.
Yep.
Yep. That's what I do as well. Because like even the chest, there's, because of the RNG, even the chest at the end could have just something completely trash in it.
Yeah.
And you spend all that time getting to it. Yeah, fix cryolabs, please. Next patch. Add more breakable walls or glass or something.
I mean, I think the main thing, and this is another thing I actually mentioned in my last video, is that we kind of need more procedural locations. Because, I mean, what I think would have been really nice is for the game to have been scaled back.
Yes.
I would have actually loved for us to have maybe a dozen systems we can travel to. And then maybe like 30 to 50 planets tops.
Yeah.
Rather than more than twice that.
Yeah.
Because so much of a game is nothing.
So many systems.
Yeah.
Many of which, a lot of which, many players will not experience or want to survey at all.
I think I've just traveled to like half the systems and then not been on most of the planets in those systems. Like, there's just not much point. Because, maybe one of the planets in a new system I go to will have, like, a set location, which is cool. But the other dozen will all be generic. And I don't want to spend my time just clicking in and out of planets trying to find one special thing.
I am hoping for more of those quality of life interface changes to happen as well. To just show, like, even something that can toggle, like, the percentage of discovery per system, so you don't have to hover over each one. And also their names, dude. Like, why when we're looking for a particular system, especially when we have a reference on like a spreadsheet, me as the example, I need to find Mateo 1. Okay, where the frick is the Mateo system? And I'm just over here hovering over each star, and then I have to go to map genie and be like, okay, please show me your star map because I'm so tired of trying to find Mateo. It's so ridiculous. Or Maheo one? Whatever.
No, Mateo, I think.
It's any of the... I think I'm confusing Maheo with Mateo the character in Constellation. Anyway, my point still stands. I really hope that there's some quality of life stuff with that. Just star map in general. And the survey stuff. I want a bestiary. So bad.
Yeah. I think that's another big thing as well, because a large reason I went primarily to like the tiny little rocks in space is because I wanted to survey planets nice and quickly. And a lot of rocks are like, oh, there's helium and iron. That's it. You scan 2 things, you've surveyed it completely.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a good way to get like fast experience.
I will say too, like if you are going to like a full survey goal on a system, like don't spend too much time on those smaller, rocks.
Yeah.
Once you have what you need for that survey, I would say move on. Because the points of interest will not be impressive, except for one, if it's on an ice ball. But it's really big and you'll be able to notice it. And it's the big landing platform. It's like an oil drill or something like that, like a frozen oil drill.
Oh,
it's real big. It's got a giant landing platform up in the air.
Is it the one kind of that's overrun a bit?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was one of the first places I think I ever went to. Like my
Really?
very first character build has a bunch of footage from that.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I encountered it super early and was like, yeah, this will just be everywhere, I guess. And I maybe bumped into it like 2 or 3 times.
That one's really
since.
Specific, I've noticed. Or I've just gotten incredibly unlucky because I didn't discover it until like 250 to 300 hours into the game.
Jeez.
So, yeah. That one's cool. I have... the only reason I remember it that well, too... I mean, it is a cool location, but... It's because, like many awesome locations, it's got a magazine in it, too.
I see.
It's the Solomon's Adventures... Which one?
That doesn't sound right.
Abandoned Mining Platform. That's what it is.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Super generic name.
On it, yep. Implied that ice drilling was happening. I have my side notes here. Implied that ice drilling was happening, and this was found on Sirius 3B, an ice-based moon. So, that's my guess, according to my notes too. I haven't looked for it in the X edit, but I would guess it needs to be something ice related. Maybe even like an ice biome, perhaps. I don't know.
Possibly. I will say, with you mentioning the name of abandoned mining platform, like. The places you travel to, which are procedural, are pretty boring.
Yes.
Like, it's abandoned research facility, occupied cave, just the most generic, basic stuff.
Yeah.
That you could come up with, really.
And
like,
occupied cave was really hilarious to me because I don't think I've ever run into an occupied cave that's actually occupied.
Yeah.
Like they're all dead.
They always seem unoccupied. Which is a bit odd.
It's a bunch of dead guys outside, and you're like, is it though? And then it's funny because on the flip side, you have abandoned mining facilities that are full of people that are going to shoot you. It's so funny with the naming conventions on these. Yeah, so in relation to the problem that we're kind of dancing around here, No Brows had a great suggestion, but pie in the sky kind of suggestion that player made structures and things could show up, even as like ships dropping down. That would be cool. Not gonna happen probably. So your suggestion was just more points of interest. Part along the lines of what I was hoping for is first and foremost a lot of points of interest that don't have very strict rules when it comes to what environment they can be in. because there are a lot of the time that there are structures that have the airlocks. I think most of them, if not all of them, do. They can be anywhere if they have an airlock, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I don't see a reason why there couldn't be more generic-ish locations, just more added to the pile of habitation domes and stuff like that. Just more. We need more. Something I found annoying, and you've seen the list now because I put it on the outline.
Yep.
Is there's a lot of not generated locations that are static and unique and in one spot that the game does not lead you to.
Yeah.
And in the spirit of discovery, the main theme of Starfield, finding and coming across these places is really freaking cool. Yep. But because a lot of these are tucked away in various planets of like the 100-something odd systems or whatever, you probably won't find all of these unless you're really, really looking to complete the game, like full completionist run thing. And I really don't wish that on anybody. The content that we have right now, because even New Game Plus, I no, don't go to 240 temples, please. I beg you.
But some people really want to. And it's going to be so great discussing power levels with them. Because you'll have a weapon that kills something in 2 seconds but only does 14 damage. And they'll be like, that's super weak. Check out my 500 damage weapon, which takes a minute to kill the overinflated health bar of the enemies in New Game Plus 58.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that so much.
Yep. Flexing those random drops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at the numbers. They go big.
Yep. Numbers go big. I like when numbers go big sometimes. I hope they stop at some point though.
Nope.
Because that's what made me tired of Ultimate Vault Hunter mode in Borderlands. Numbers keep going up. They don't need to.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting really off track. The list I'm referring to of the things that I've written down, a lot of which have magazine locations. The only reason I found a lot of these is there should be an easy way to connect these largely unknown locations to the main story. And I thought of it while I was reading the list again, and just add them as like prioritized Radiant locations.
Yeah.
That's it. That's like, and some of it too, like you could make a kill target or like an escort target or something. Like, man, it could be something just really simple where the larger, part of going to that location is just exploring that location, like not worrying about whatever that Radiant objective is as much. And I think that would be something that would be cool, because that would largely give us more incentive, because I don't know how many times you've gone to a human settlement and just been like, well, that's boring, and then kept walking.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the problem with most of the human settlements too, is like they have a provisioner and whoever you're closest to is the quest giver.
Yep.
And usually it's a really boring like surveying or placing sensors or essentially doing their job for them. And it's not great.
No. It's just generic stuff to pump up the levels.
Yeah. And I know they were so proud of that system in Skyrim, but like it's really pretty boring. Like it feels like, I don't know, feels like that was not improved at all. It was just kind of left the way it is from Skyrim. It just, go kill this in space, and I'm like, yeah, it's still the same thing though.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of a problem at Bethesda where they seem to think that just having lots and lots of quests that you can do infinitely equals infinite playtime in the game. where it's totally not the case. Radiant quests are good in my opinion, and big open world games should have them, but they don't need to be the only thing you're doing. You need to have other stuff, and then occasionally you take a break to do Radiant quests.
Yeah.
Whereas in Starfield, you do a bunch of Radiant quests alongside the 1 or 2 main quests. Which is the wrong way around. But with the whole procedural and huge nature of the game, it would have taken 20 years to write big quests for the number of planets they've got.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
So, when we're talking about, God, I really hate that statement, the wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people use that argument for Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And for many reasons.
I
Whatever
don't think it
reason
applies to any of the past games properly.
Whatever reason comes to your mind when you think of Fallout 4 and that statement, I think it much more readily applies to Starfield. And it hurts me to say that because I am a content maker of Starfield and I am still enjoying the game, but it does have that issue of too much generated content and not enough handcrafted. Or the handcrafted stuff is hard to find. You can't just bump into it. You probably won't see it a lot of the time.
Something I want to point out on that as well is Caedo's got a list of specific locations which you can go to, and what we were talking about right before recording was Safe House Gamma.
Yeah.
Which is such a generic sort of name.
Yes, it is.
That's not a standout thing. I happened to go to it just when I was surveying a planet or something, and I was like, oh, this structure looks a bit different. I'll head inside. Really cool little, neat, small environmental storytelling sort of place.
Yes.
Very cool to go into and see.
It had the perfect creep factor too. It was so it just nice, compact.
Yep. I ran away from the place.
Did the job. Yeah,
it was great.
It was so great. And we're not going to spoil it, obviously, because it's really cool. Andromas 2 is where it is, in the Andromas system. But nothing leads you there.
No, the problem as well is not only is it a generic name, but you get multiple markers when looking at a planet, which will just be circles or diamonds with the name. And some of them are set crafted places, like the Safe House Gamma.
Yeah.
Others are just here's a civilian outpost.
Yeah. And newer players especially won't know what is a generic point of interest as opposed to one that is named, because some of the named ones really are named badly.
Yeah. I think what Bethesda should do is, in an update in the future, they should change the icons for uniquely built areas.
Yeah.
So if this is just one of that you can find, have an icon that stands out a bit more and which shows it as a unique place.
Make them legendary orange.
As I was saying that,
using
the word unique, my brain was just going through Bethesda doesn't know what unique is. Bethesda doesn't know what unique is.
They don't, but that is a very easy way to make an identifier.
Yeah.
Is to just change the color of the icon.
Yeah.
So I was half joking, but also it's a very easy way to point something out to the player. As opposed to making all the map icons white, because that's what we're dealing with right now, and it's it's not helpful.
I mean, they're grey originally.
Yeah,
and then
they're
you
gray.
Find them and they become white. And it's ooh, I've uncovered it.
Or black and white, then they invert when you discover them. That's been a thing forever. Yeah, so I'll go over my list really quick, just in case those of you listening who are starved for locations that are handcrafted and really cool. I have 10 of them, including Safe House Gamma, which we just talked about. Reliant Medical Organics Lab on Beta Turnian 1 in the Beta Turnian system. The Bindi Mining Outpost on Bindi in the Cheyenne system. This one's actually easier to stumble upon because it's in the same system as Aquila. But
it's also mentioned towards the start of the game.
It is mentioned towards the start of the game,
cool.
But yeah, they don't say where Bindi is.
No.
So you have to actually pay attention.
It is the kind of place which you might be looking out for and you might stumble across, but there's no marker leaving you.
But it is cool if you do run into that place with I want to say, I don't think Barrett says anything at the Bini Outpost. Maybe I didn't bring him with me, but at the Kazal Sulfur Mine, which is another one that Barrett and Lynn are bickering about at the beginning of the game, he does talk about the Kazal Sulfur Mine if you go there, which is on the moon of Kazal is the moon of Kazara in the Nira system. That's far to the right on the star map, closer to the Serpentis, I think. But because there are House Varun zealots and stuff there. Another one, Sunny DeFalco's Island. There is so much level design there. You just, again, you might not even know this mansion exists. But it's a mansion on an island on Maheo 1 in the Maheo system. It's freaking cool. You can end up with a lot of Aurora off world, off of or away from Neon. So if you wanted some Aurora to just go get, you can do that at Maheo 1. Vulture's Roost, which is on Jaffa 4 in the Jaffa system.
Jaffa Cake system, yep.
Jaffa Cakes. This one is a really cool, built into a cliffside ecliptic outpost that has it's really weird how the layout is, but it's got a landing platform right in the middle of this mountain indentation. It's just generally cool. And you can hijack a ship out of the place. I think they have a whole bunch of contraband there as well. Just a fun spot to explore. Again, another magazine location. It's in the jail. Neurodyne Botany Laboratory. Why did I say laboratory?
Laboratoire.
DD. On Beta Marais 1 in the Beta Marais system. Neurodyne Botany Laboratory is another really cool environmental laboratory. Something went wrong, and nature is kind of retaking it over, and it's got a scripted way of escape as you progress through the place too. Magazine at this one is actually in one of the greenhouses on the roof, which is pretty easy to miss. The Colander, we're getting into a couple of orbiting ships or space stations, because these are static as well. The Colander, which is orbiting Schrodinger 2 in the Schrodinger system, this one's requires a pretty decent grav drive, I believe, to get to Schrodinger. But once you get to the Schrodinger system, I think you end up right in front of the Colander. So the game telling you hey, you should check out this derelict ship. And this one is really cool too. Another location where something went wrong because there's no power or no people there that are alive and stuff. The Saunders space station orbits Bessel 3 in the Bessel system. I don't remember what happens at that one, but I wrote it down for a reason.
Must be something good.
Yep. Oh no, the fandom doesn't have any details on the Saunders space station.
I've tried this with looking up locations before, and there's barely anything out there.
Well, gosh dang it. Okay. Well, we'll leave it a mystery then. Safe House Gamma, which we already talked about. It has a cool, creepy vibe with a really long hallway, cool environmental storytelling during that time. Just strongly recommend. Andromos 2 in the Andromos system. And finally, the Autonomous Star Yard orbiting Voli Psi in the Voli system. That's, same system as Neon, but fairly easy to miss, because I missed it for a long while, in fact. And this one has some interesting scripting in it too. It's an autonomous star yard that went fully autonomous without permission, so you're gonna be fighting a lot of robots. And there's a cool rail section where you're like a rail shooting gallery almost. That's pretty neat. So there is that. Those are 10 handcrafted locations that you can find in Starfield. Thanks for listening to Caedo's countdowns on the PIPCAST 121. I know I just used my commentary voice, but like those are cool locations. I just want to point that out. Like Starfield does have its moments still. I feel like we should have said that at the beginning of the topic too. Like there's a lot of aspects we still do enjoy.
Yeah.
But in our minds too, or in my mind at least, a lot of work to be done to make it more of a fun gameplay experience, and also just so players don't miss some of the cool stuff. Like I'm all for branching paths with different consequences and stuff like that, but when it's too much of an open sandbox, like the consequence is being bored. I guess that's the best way I can sum it up, is like you focus down on something like The Witcher 3, for example. Like you have an objective, and the consequences come from the choices that you make during those little objectives. You have your little sandbox to play in, but you're making choices inside of that sandbox still. I don't know if that's a good example or not. Do you have...
I don't have an example to go exactly with the line of what you're talking about. What I was going to say was that I think with like all the unique areas in Starfield, they all amount to like the same size as one really big open world game. The problem is they're spread over a game that's as big as a dozen really big open world games.
Yes.
At least. And yeah, there's an entire game here full of really cool, unique locations, really awesome stuff, but it's just spread out so much. That's the problem with Starfield. You've got the delicious jam or jelly or preserve or whatever you want to call that, but you've spread it over a bit of toast, rather than toast shape is like A4 in size or whatever.
I should have invited Camel. I should have seen what he was doing today, because he's been streaming the like what Starfield needs, like open letter to Bethesda. Like he's been working on a big open letter to Bethesda video on like the things that Starfield needs. And I've helped contribute to that because I, the times I was stuck in bed, couldn't really do much except watch my buddy stream sometimes, or I don't know, just watch a show. And he had a perfect like made in paint example of Morrowind. I think he used Morrowind as the example versus what Starfield is, considering both like a pizza. And Morrowind is a pizza with its sauce and its toppings covering all of the sauce, whereas Starfield is a gigantic pizza with a quarter-sized amount of a coin-sized amount of toppings on this gigantic world-sized pizza.
Yep.
That I'm not doing a very good job at describing his cool metaphor, but it makes sense. The content that's there is cool, but the wider generated stuff does get old. And like we already came up with some examples too of ways to make even the pre-existing points of interest more interesting in a previous episode. Right?
Yes, we did.
And
I can totally remember. I'm gonna be entirely honest here. I've started getting real bad toothache, and it's flared back up.
Oh,
and I'm only half present right now.
Oh, Sarge, that's the worst. We can hurry it up if you need to.
I do apologize, everyone. I am not on form anymore.
Oh no. Oh God, that's the worst. Like I don't wish toothaches on anybody either, because I've had my share of that. You gotta.
It's just a nice distracting pain as I'm trying to bring up all the thoughts.
Get an appointment, Sarge.
Nah.
Get a dentist appointment. No, I'm serious. You do not want to let that sit. Personal experience. Please don't let it sit. It's the worst. Anyway, let's quickly go to the what have we done thing.
Okay.
And then call it good. Is that cool?
I'm cool with that.
And you can call it quits whenever you feel like it, because
yeah. What I've done is bought ibuprofen.
What's that?
It was a smart choice of me. Ibuprofen. Ibuprofen?
Ibuprofen. Oh, okay.
However you want to pronounce it.
Ibuprofen.
Yep.
I've never heard it pronounced that way. That's great.
I don't know if I've ever pronounced it that way before, but I am massaging the side of my face at the same time.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I've basically just been playing Starfield. Caedo and I did mention earlier how we're now suddenly getting Starfield views, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so great.
Yeah.
I
think both of us were struggling to hit like 1,000 views on videos.
Our last episode was about New Game Plus and all the things that are in it, and the video that I was trying to finish while recovering from my surgery. And I finished it, but it didn't start getting actual decent views until that patch came out, which was about 5 days later. Because it didn't even reach 1,000 views, which is ridiculously low.
Yeah.
For the audience that I'm trying to draw. And then suddenly, after that patch, we got a jump. And then, of course, like whenever DLC happens, we're going to get another jump. Just as I predicted.
Yeah.
It's so great. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
People are actually using my guides.
Yeah, I am hoping people will stick around on our channels as well to watch more of the Starfield content. Because I think for both of us, a lot of our previous audiences just didn't watch any of the Starfield stuff.
No, I mean I have the broad subscriber problem that's been an issue for a long time. So it only gets worse.
Yeah, for me, YouTube is promoting Middle-earth: Shadow of War in 2023 more than anything else on my channel, which is so helpful.
Oh, so good. Yeah,
for a game I stopped
know
covering
Talion is
years
really
years
cool up until the point to where he's not, but you know, it's I don't know if it fully works out that way, the way it's supposed to. Did you watch anything cool too?
I've started rewatching. Well, I finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I was watching that passively while surveying planets and stuff.
Yep.
But I've started rewatching Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, which is really good.
I'm not familiar.
It's so good. It's got Elijah Wood in it, which is always a good sign.
Oh, I love Elijah Wood.
Yeah, he's great. He's one of the main characters.
I love that little hobbit fella.
Yeah, it's only a 2-season show. Unfortunately, it got cancelled, which sucks because it is brilliant, like so good. It's kind of like a fantasy sci-fi mystery detective show.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. Well,
I'm guessing you don't want to like give away.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Much of the
the genres it's under is black comedy, drama, fantasy, and mystery.
Oh man, that's a lot.
And it's very good. Very, 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 very good.
That's cool.
But yeah, unfortunately the second season didn't do as well as the first, and it was then just like, yeah, we're getting rid of it.
Dang
second season isn't as good as the first, but the first season is like a 10 out of 10 season, and the second season's like an 8.5 out of 10 season. So, yeah, it's a real good show.
So, I feel shame.
Yes.
Okay, I still am a Blizzard hater. Don't get it twisted. You've probably been seeing B-roll of me playing World of Warcraft. Yes, it is me playing it, not just some B-roll I got from somebody else. But I joined a private server. Blizzard can't do anything about it. Because like the way that they deal with people who play private servers is just banning their accounts from the official servers, and I don't play official. I haven't played retail for over 10 years because I hate Blizzard. So one day, especially after like getting to the point where I was like kind of recovered to like be able to do stuff again after dealing with the surgery stuff, I was like, screw it. What if we played WoW? I just talk on a kite, because this was one of the things, even though we've been together, we haven't ever played WoW together because I was so adamant about never going back to it. And I was incorrect. The nostalgia kind of just built up over time. I have leftover screenshots of like other old private servers that I had joined and been a part of, and it was all just generally still really fun to play with characters without that, especially without that like overwhelming corpo attachment with Blizzard. and stuff like that. But also, I am not in a semi-homeless position that I was when I first got addicted to WoW. So I feel like I have a bit more of a handle on it, even though I've been utterly crushing hours on that game. But I have been playing it with Kite too, and it has been so much fun, and something obviously that Kite has wanted for a very long time and thought it wasn't a possibility, but we just decided it. Why not? Why the frick not? So that's why you're seeing WoW B-roll and not much for Starfield B-roll. I will have probably Starfield B-roll up until the point where I talk about largely what I've been playing. Undead Warrior. I don't think it's safe for me to like just call out what the private server is, so I'm not gonna do that. I'll leave you to guess. You can see my character's name on screen. I just know that I've been having fun with it, going back and running the dungeons and seeing how advanced private servers are now with functioning content. NPCs that do what they're supposed to. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty close to what I've been doing. Obviously, I finished the new game plus guide for Starfield. That was an ordeal. I don't know if you saw it, Sarge, but
I haven't seen it yet.
I felt really good about making it a all-encompassing one-stop shop kind of guide. I've already had a lot of people contributing like their methods of doing things for when they start a new game plus run, and offering up my reasonings for some things that I chose to do. Like I didn't include hijacking spaceships, for example, because that would go directly against the credit making section. Because if we want to modify the ship, especially if it's not a great ship when you first take it, you have to register it and then pay for the parts to upgrade it, which is
it's pricey,
very pricey. So instead, I included the two ships that a lot of us are familiar with at this point, which was the Star Eagle and the Razorleaf, which are pre-registered ships that you get with a couple of extra steps. So, and in the Razorleaf's case, you also get the Mantis armor at the same time. So everybody should know about the Mantis stuff by now.
The Mantis is what I do real early on every character.
Yeah.
Now. It's just the best way to go.
I just wish there were I just wish there was like a villain counterpart to the Mantis. Maybe in DLC. I don't know. and then you can fight each other. Anyway, I think that's where we're going to call it for our PIPCAST 3000. Thank you, Sarge, for joining me despite your sudden onset tooth pain.
No worries.
do not envy you, but yes, please get that taken care of as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And those of you listening, thank you for tuning in and listening to us ramble on about Starfield and what we like, what we wish would change. And if you have any thoughts or fantasies or wonders about like what a solution would be for Starfield's barren planet's problem, because there are many solutions and we only covered a couple. Thanks again. Hope you take care of yourselves. And December's almost upon us.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.